it over to Zorin, who will guide our panel presentation. Over to you, Zorin.
Thank you, Ishani, and welcome, friends, to part one of our International Student Orientation, the Graduate Student Info Session. We would first like to warmly congratulate all of you on your acceptance to SFU, and we're pleased that you've chosen Simon Fraser University as part of your academic journey, and sincerely hope that your experience here will exceed your expectations. For those of you who are watching the recording, please do note that the auto caption functionality may not be 100% accurate, but hopefully you'll be able to get the information you need. We would like to respectfully acknowledge that Simon Fraser University is located on the stolen unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, Katsi, Coquitlam, Kaikait, Kwantlen, Semiahmoo, and Tawasin nations. What I've just shared is a land acknowledgement. Some of you may be familiar with the concept, while for others it might be something new. We acknowledge the land to honor the Indigenous peoples who have lived and worked on this land historically and presently, and to spread awareness of the land rights of this settler colonial society. So to jump into our part one, we'll do a few introductions. My name is Zoreen Nurani. I am a student transition educator within the unit called International Services for Students. And some of the things that I do in my work are to engage campus stakeholders, whether they're in the faculties or in the student services, to ensure that your needs are top of mind on their agendas. Over to you, Ishani.
Thanks, Zorin. So my name is Ashani. I'm an International Student Experience Coordinator, and I'll be presenting on some non-immigration related topics today. I was also a former international student at SFU, so I'm always really excited to welcome new international students to the community. So thank you all for being here, and I'll hand it over to Jitender.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jitender, and I'm International Student Advisor, Immigration Specialist at SFU. I'm also a registered Immigration Canadian Consultant, which means I'm able to provide immigration advice. Welcome to today's session, and I look forward to answer your question. I hand over now to Miwako.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miwako, and I'm an International Student Advisor, Immigration Specialist, which is quite a mouthful. Along with Jitenda, I provide immigration-related advice to students, and I'm really excited to meet you all today. Over to Ali.
Thank you, Miwako. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali. I'm joining you today on behalf of Student Care to give you an orientation on your extended medical insurance. I'm a program manager at Student Care, and I was a former student at former international student at Simon Fraser University as well. So I have been where you are and can relate to the anxieties and the excitements you're feeling today. So with that, I will pass it back to Zoreen.
Thank you. Thank you to Ishani, Jatinder, Miwako, and Ali. So we'll be your team guiding you over the next little while. And we thought that we would begin our sharing by taking a look at what International Services for Students, also known as ISS, can do to support you in your journey here at SFU. Ishani, can you share a bit about that?
That's for sure. So our Office International Services for Students, or ISS, as we commonly refer to it, is a key resource for international students at SFU. So our team consists of regulated Canadian immigration consultants, as Miwako and Jitender mentioned in the introductions. And these advisors are licensed to provide you with advice relating to study permits, visas, and your eligibility to work in Canada. So we also offer advice on medical insurance and navigating the Canadian healthcare system, which can sometimes be a bit confusing if you're new to the country. We also offer various transition support to new students, and you'll hear about some of these initiatives a bit later on in the presentation. Our office also administers the study abroad programs, such as international exchanges and field school, if you would like to explore those opportunities. And we also offer unique support to our refugee and newcomer communities. So you can connect with us in multiple ways. So we offer both in-person and virtual appointments at all 3 SFU campuses. And it looks like the vast majority of you are currently based outside of Canada. So if you do need to get in touch with us, you can pursue our virtual advising modes. You can always send us an email as well. And our website also has a wealth of resources that students can explore themselves. So one of the resources that I would like to highlight today are the welcome guides that we have for the different international pathways. And there's a welcome guide specifically for international graduate students as well. So these welcome guides come with a step-by-step checklist of what you should be doing to make sure that you're not missing out on anything important as you transition to SFU. So we highly encourage that you check out these guides.
Okay, so now we're going to address some immigration-related information, and the next set of slides and presentation will address 12 questions. These questions and answers will hopefully help set you up in a good way as an international student coming to SFU. So Jatinder, you ready? Let's get started. Question number one. Would I need both a study permit and a visa to study in Canada?
Thank you, Zareen. So let's dive into the Q&A. Before I answer this question, I would like to draw your attention to the disclaimer on the bottom of the slide to emphasize that the information that we discussed today is current only as of today's date, given the immigration is ever-changing field, so there could be information that could change tomorrow. So please be mindful of that. Now, to answer that question, most foreign nationals need a study permit to study in Canada. However, please note that your study permit is not a travel document. So while your permit lets you study in Canada, you would also need a visitor visa or ETA to enter Canada. If you have applied for your study permit from outside of Canada, you will receive visitor visa or ETA along with your study permit approval, depending upon your country of nationality. Thank you.
Okay, question number two. If I have a valid study permit and will transfer to SFU from another Canadian college or university, do I need to apply for a new study permit?
Thank you. So during the poll, I saw that some of you are already in Canada. So either you have already traveled to Canada upon your study permit approval, or you might be starting your graduate program after completing your undergrad program. So in any scenario, in case you have a valid study permit, and if you would be transferring to SFU from another college or university, you can continue to use your same study permit. So all you need to do is complete the designated learning institute transfer to let IRCC know that you will be studying at a different institute. The DLI transfer can be completed online by logging into your secure IRCC account. Another thing to keep in mind is that you must have a valid study permit throughout the duration of your program. So in case your study permit will expire in the next 3 to 5 months, we recommend applying for extension at the earliest. So SP extension or study permit extension is an online application, and you can complete it using the IRCC secure account. So for detailed information, you can refer to the instruction guide available on our webpage. Thank you.
Okay, so question number three. We're bringing ourselves now into Canada and our life has begun. So what conditions must I comply with as an international student in Canada?
Yeah, so that's an important question. So when you come to Canada as an international student, there's certain conditions you need to comply with. So what does that mean? So as a study permit holder, international student must be enrolled into your institute, such as SFU. You should be actively pursuing your program by being enrolled full-time or part-time during each academic term, and you should be making reasonable progress towards the completion of your program. You would also need to inform IRCC in case you would be changing your institute to let them know that you are still an active student and in Canada. So, and in terms of enrollment required, I would like to highlight that at SFU, there are 3 terms, spring, summer, and fall. And for graduate student, all 3 terms are considered academic terms, which means you should be enrolled in every academic term. Thank you.
Question number 4. So as we know, life is expensive and many of us need to work and study at the same time. So are international students eligible even to work while pursuing their program in Canada?
Thank you, Zareen. Yeah, so I think this is an important question for a lot of students at working on and off campus. Not only allow you to earn some extra money, but it also allows you to gain some valuable Canadian experience, which could be immensely helpful when you start looking for jobs upon completion of your program. So the good thing is that international students are eligible to work on and off campus using their study permit. So in order to work on campus during academic terms, which again means spring, summer, and fall, you need to meet certain conditions. So for example, the first condition is that you should have a valid study permit and there should be work condition on your study permit. So it could read something like that you can accept employment on and off campus. You should be full-time enrolled. So what does full-time enrollment mean for graduate student? So for graduate student, it means you should be enrolled into 6 or more credit. You should also have a valid social insurance number to be able to work on campus. So if you meet all the conditions mentioned on this slide, you will be able to work on campus. There is no limit on the number of hours you can work on campus. We have also included some examples of on-campus employer. So for example, if you're working with a faculty member as a teaching assistant, that would be considered on-campus work. Or if you're working for a private business, which is based on the premises of school, that would again be considered on-campus job. Can we go to the next slide, please? So similar to on-campus, your study permit also comes with work authorization that also allows you to work off-campus. So similar to the condition to be able to work on campus, there are certain conditions you would need to meet. So for example, you should have a study permit with work condition. You should have a valid social insurance number, and you should be pursuing a degree, diploma, or certificate that is at least 6 months. So as all of you are graduate degree holder students, so you would automatically fulfill that criteria. You can also work full-time between terms. So let's say if the spring term ends on April 20th and the summer would start on May 7th, so between that time, you would be able to work full-time, provided you were full-time in spring and if you're going to be full-time in summer as well. So right now, the number of off-campus work hours is 20, but it is expected that they would increase to 24 hours in the upcoming fall. We would provide more information as it becomes available. Next slide, please. So in addition to your work on and off campus, you could also explore co-op. So co-op is a work term or internship that could allow you to gain valuable Canadian experience. Some of you might have an essential or mandatory work component as a part of your program. So for example, if you would be pursuing a full-time MBA at SFU, you would have a 4 months of internship as a part of your program. So to be able to participate in the internship or the work term, you would need a co-op work permit. So you can apply for co-op work permit along with your study permit if it is mandatory part of your program. Or if you forgot to apply along with your study permit, you would be able to apply once you land in Canada. So your co-op work permit should list SFU as an employer. Now, it is important to remember that the co-op work permit can only be used to jobs which are approved by SFU to meet the co-op or internship requirement. It cannot be used to work off campus or on campus. Thank you.
So that's a lot of information there, and please do reference the PowerPoint deck and you can take a look at the details. So let's say whether you work on campus, whether you work off campus, or whether you don't do that at all, many students come to Canada because they want to have work experience after. So you probably are wondering about this question. How can I stay in Canada after the completion of my program and gain some Canadian work experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is an important question for a lot of students. So when you are investing so much for your education, I think a lot of students would like to stay in Canada for some time and gain the Canadian experience, which could be helpful to them uh, when they start their career. So fortunately, after the end of your program, you would be able to apply for your post-graduation work permit or PGWP. So PGWP allows you to remain in Canada and work full-time after you complete your program. So to apply for PGWP, you need to meet certain criteria. So first of all, you would be able to apply only after completion of your program. Your program should be 8 months or longer. You should be full-time in every academic term. Again, I would like to clarify that all the terms, spring, summer, and fall, are considered academic terms for graduate student. However, there are certain exceptions. So, for example, you could be full-time, part-time in your final term in case you only have, let's say, one course to complete your program. And also sometimes life happens and we might to take a term off to focus on things that we care about, or sometimes like some urgency just happens. So if you have an approved leave of absence, you would continue to remain eligible for your post-graduation work permit. Thank you.
So now, Jatinder, what if my program is 16 months long? Will I be eligible for a 3-year PGWP, the post-graduation work permit?
Mm-hmm. So in this year, earlier in February, RCC made an announcement saying that starting February 15, 2024, students who graduate from master degree program of less than 2 years, it should be at least 8 months minimum program. They might be eligible for 3 years of post-graduation work permit. But that said, even before this announcement, the program, which was 16 to 23 months longer, they would be considered equivalent to 2 years of program, provided there is no academic break. So, for example, MBA programs are 4 semester or 16 months program, and there is no academic break built into that program. So they are considered equivalent to 2 years program. And in the past, students have received 3 years of post-graduation work permit, even if they have completed 16 months of program. However, it is important to remember that post-graduation work permit cannot be issued beyond the length of your passport. So even though if you might be qualified for 3 years of post-graduation work permit, in case your passport will expire in 2 years, you will only receive 2 years of post-graduation work permit, but you would be able to extend it in case you got it shorter because of your passport. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
Well, we're at the halfway mark. We have 12 questions and we're on to question 7. You doing okay over there, Jatinder?
Yeah.
So what documents do I need when I'm traveling to Canada?
Yeah, thank you, Zoreen. So I think that's an important question. So once your study permit is approved, you would be making arrangements for your travel to Canada. It is important that you carry all the necessary document for a smooth entry into Canada. So some of the documents you should be carrying are listed on the website. So for example, you should be carrying your valid travel documents such as your passport, a valid study permit, or letter of introduction in case you applied for your study permit for the first time. You should also be carrying your offer letter from SFU. You should be carrying a valid ETA or valid visa. As I mentioned, because study permit or letter of introduction is not a travel document, so you would need a valid visa or ETA to be able to enter Canada. You should also be carrying proof of funds that you used when you applied for your study permit, and a valid immigration medical exams, if applicable. So for example, if you're applying for a certain country, you would be required to provide copy of your medical exam along with your application. Normally, they are valid for 1 year. So in case they have expired, you might need to go for medical exam again, as they need to be valid when you enter Canada. I think another important thing to remember is that some airports in Canada have a special processing area for international students when they arrive in Canada. So please watch for signage that might be directing you to this designated area. And also, if you applied for your study permit for the first time, you will be getting your study permit at the airport. And it is important that you verify the information on your study permit. So for example, if your name is correct, your date of birth is correct, if that is the condition printed on your study permit that allows you to work on and off campus. Sometimes if a lot of students are traveling at the same time, the officer might make a mistake, and in case, then you would need to apply for amendment of your study permit. So just make sure that you verify all those information before you leave the airport. Thank you.
So let's say you've got all your documents, you're ready to go. Question number 8, how soon can I travel to Canada?
Yeah, it's a good question. So how soon you can travel to Canada? So there is no set time frame for you to arrive in Canada before beginning your program. However, as per the general criteria, you should give yourself enough time or reasonable amount of time to establish or prepare your life in Canada before you start your program. Also remember that you are not allowed to work on and off campus before you begin your program in Canada. So I believe September 6th is the starting date for fall semester at SFU. So even if you arrive now, you will not be able to work before September 6th. And if you meet, you still need to meet all the conditions that we discussed previously when we discussed eligibility to work on and off campus. Now, generally 30 days is considered a reasonable amount of time so that you're able to find accommodation and establish yourself in Canada. However, if you need to arrive early because you might have a family and you might need longer to establish, in that case, the border officer might have a question why you are arriving so early. So as long as you're able to provide reasonable justification, it should be okay. Remember that the final decision to let anyone enter Canada is always at the discretion of the border officer. Thank you.
Of course, there's always room for something to not go exactly as you need it to go. And question number 9 is an important one. So what are my options in case my study permit is not approved on time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is one of the frequently submitted question during the registration period, and also during the poll. I noticed that for a lot of you, your study permit is still under processing. So there are a couple of options you can explore in case you may be experiencing delay in the approval of your study permit. So first and the foremost, the safest option could be to apply for deferral. So for that, please contact your department and check with them when is the latest date by when you can apply for deferral. The second option could be to start your program late. So as I mentioned, September 6th is the date when the fall semester starts, but you might want to check with the department if it is possible for you to start your program late. So normally we don't recommend missing more than 1 week of class, but again, it would be up to your individual department to decide that. The another option could be if you are able to start your program remotely from your home country before your study permit is approved and you are able to travel to Canada. Now remember that if you choose option 2 or 3, which is starting your program late or starting your program remotely from outside of Canada, there are a few things you should keep in mind. So first thing is that the study permit approval is not guaranteed. So even if you would like every student of ours to have a positive decision, that might not be the case. So in case you start your program without a study permit approval, you may not be eligible for refund for the courses you are enrolled into. Therefore, please check the add and drop deadline for refund. So for example, September 10th is the deadline to drop your courses with 100% refund. So in case you start your program remotely and by September 8th, you don't have a decision, then you might want to decide whether you want to continue studying or you want to drop your course and probably check if it is still eligible to apply for deferral. Other thing is that even if your department allows you to start your program remotely from your home country, the time that you spend outside of Canada may not count towards the length of your post-graduation work permit. So during the pandemic, IRCC came up with temporary measure allowing students to study online. So that temporary measure is going to end at the end of August 31st, 2024. So that means anyone who would be starting their program in fall of this year, and if they start their program from outside of Canada, and let's say if you spend one term outside of Canada, then that time could be deducted from the length of your post-graduation work permit. So you might end up not getting the full length of your post-graduation work permit that you would qualify for. So keep these things in mind in case you want to choose option 2 and 3. And of course, you can also connect us with individually to discuss your own unique circumstances. Thank you.
So question number 10 is talking about the visitor visa. So if I have an approved visitor visa, can I travel to Canada with a visitor visa and also then start my program?
Thank you. So I think this is a valid question. So as a lot of you are still waiting for your study permit approval. So if you have a valid visa, would you be able to travel to Canada? So answer to that question is yes, you can travel to Canada using your visitor visa. However, you could be entering Canada as a visitor and not as a student. And to be able to study in Canada as an international student, you must have a valid study permit. So even though you would be able to travel to Canada, you will not be able to start your program, right? So we recommend not traveling to Canada until your study permit is approved, especially if your intention is to start your program in Canada. And as mentioned earlier, in case your study permit process application is under processing, the border officer might have a question that why are you visiting Canada as a visitor? And as I mentioned earlier, the discretion to enter Canada is always with the border officer. Thank you.
What about this? Do I need a provincial attestation letter or a PAL for my study permit application?
So if you would be applying for a master or doctoral degree program, and if you are yet to apply for your study permit, I think the good news is that you don't need a provisional attestation letter. Master or doctoral degree seeking students are exempt from the requirement of PAL.
And our last question for this component is about family. So can my spouse or common law partner apply for an open work permit?
Yeah, I think that's also an important question, as a lot of graduate students would like to travel with their family. So earlier this year, IRCC made some changes for the open work permit for spouse or common law partner for international student. From March 19, 2024, open work permit will only be available to spouse and common law partner of student enrolled in certain programs such as master's and doctorate. So since you are a graduate seeking program at SFU, your spouse and common law partner would be eligible to apply for spousal open work permit. So you have the option to apply for open work permit along with your initial study permit application. Your spouse or common law partner can also apply separately after you have arrived in Canada with a copy of your study permit. Most of the time, the length of your study permit would be same as the validity of your own study permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jatinder, for taking us through those 12 questions and providing some key information around immigration rules, regulations, and permits. So now we're going to switch.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to switch gears now to medical insurance. Medical insurance is another important topic for international students. Ishani, can you explain how that works?
That's for sure, Zareen. So medical insurance is certainly a very important topic, and it's hard to kind of condense it in like one slide. So I'll be using a few different slides to kind of cover everything we need to cover. So as international students, you must have adequate medical insurance for the entire duration of your studies. So if you do have any family members accompanying you, they also need to make sure that they will have proper coverage for their stay in Canada. So medical services can be extremely costly if you don't have proper insurance. So if you look at the BCMSP website, it indicates that a hospital stay alone can exceed $1,000 a day. So it is in your best interest, as well as it's your responsibility to make sure that you have proper coverage at all times during your stay in Canada. So there are two types of insurance, primary and secondary. And the difference between the two is that primary medical insurance covers medically necessary services, such as doctor's visits, hospital stays, diagnostic testing, such as X-rays or lab tests. And primary medical insurance is a legal requirement for everyone who lives in BC for longer than 6 months, including international students. So secondary medical insurance covers services that primary medical insurance does not. And these would be things like dental services, vision care, and extended health benefits such as massage therapy, counseling, physiotherapy, and things along the lines. So I will cover primary medical insurance first, and then you will hear from Ali about the secondary insurance plan that you receive through SFU. So primary medical insurance, let's focus on BC Medical Services Plan, or BCMSP, as it's commonly known. So BCMSP is the provincial medical insurance plan, and it is administered by a government agency known as Health Insurance BC. So to emphasize, it is a legal requirement for everyone who lives in BC for longer than 6 months to enroll in this plan. So new students who are arriving in BC should apply for BCMSP right away. So that's one of the first settlement tasks that you need to complete. You can apply for BCMSP online using a copy of your study permit. And your study permit needs to be valid for 6 months or longer. So if you do have any dependents coming with you as well, you can add them to your MSP application when you initially apply. So BCMSP does have a 3-month waiting period for it to be effective from when you first arrive and apply. So to cover that waiting period, SFU provides a temporary plan called Guide Me at SFU, and we'll talk about this plan in a second. So BCMSP does cost $75 per month for all study permit holders, and this is called the International Student Health Fee. So once your BCMSP is effective, you will receive a monthly invoice from Health Insurance BC directly, and you can make the payments online. So you will not see this charge on any of your SFU financial accounts. You are responsible for maintaining your MSP account by making the monthly payments. And once you receive your MSP coverage, please make sure that you keep your MSP account updated as well. So your MSP coverage will only be valid for the length of the study permit that you apply for BCMSP with. And if you end up renewing your study permit in the future, you have to make sure that you remember to extend your MSP coverage too. And if you're in between study permits, you can request for temporary MSP coverage if you applied for your new study permit before your old study permit expired and you're waiting for it to be issued. So you can initially request for 6 months, and then once you receive your new study permit, you can extend your MSP coverage to match the validity of your new study permit. And then managing your MSP account also entails updating your address if you end up moving so that you won't miss out on any important correspondence from Health Insurance BC, and also making sure that you're staying on top of your payments. So this information on this slide does not apply to everyone, but I do want to include it as a resource because it is common for graduate students to end up becoming TAs or TMs. So if you do end up becoming a teaching assistant or a tutor marker, you can have that international student health fee of $75 per month covered by SFU as part of your employee benefits for the duration of your TSSC contract. So what's important to remember is that you will have this benefit only for the duration of your contract. I worked with students who didn't realize that this benefit will cease once your contract is over. So they were under the assumption that SFU was still paying for their MSP, and they ended up with a hefty bill, which is not pleasant. So do remember that you will have this benefit only for the duration of your contract. So once your contract is over, it will be automatically transferred to a self-administered MSP account, which means that you will be responsible for paying that monthly fees again. So this is not administered by our office. You will have to contact SFU Human Resources if this will apply to you. And enroll. This benefit is also not automatic. You will need to apply through Human Resources. So if you end up becoming a TSSU member, please contact SFU Human Resources for more information about your benefits. Okay, so now we can talk about the GuardMe at SFU plan. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a temporary primary medical insurance plan that SFU provides only for your first term. So the goal of this plan is to ensure you have coverage while you're going through that waiting period for BCMSP in case there are any medical emergencies. So you will be automatically enrolled in this plan after you complete your course enrollment. And remember, it's only for your first term. So we will not be enrolling you in this plan in any subsequent terms. The cost of the plan is $281. It will be included in your fall term fees. That's upcoming. And then closer to the beginning of the term, you will receive a welcome email directly from GuardMe with a link to access your GuardMe portal online. So once you log in, you'll be able to see your policy details. You'll be able to see your healthcare access card, which is your proof of insurance. And if you ever end up using your GuardMe plan, you can also use that online portal to submit your claims. If you do have any dependents joining you, you can also add them to your GuardMe plan once you receive the policy details at an additional cost. So this GuardMe plan will be effective from September 1st until December 31st. We talked a bit earlier about arriving earlier in Canada before September 1st to give yourself enough time to establish. So if this is the case, you can purchase early arrivals insurance on the GuardMe website yourself to cover any gaps until your plan begins on September 1st. So it's also possible that some of you have been living in BC for a while and you already have valid BCMSP. So if this is the case, you can opt out of that GuardMe plan for a full refund of the $281 before September 30th. And if you're going to be a brand new BC resident, you might be eligible for a partial refund if you receive your BCMSP and opt out before November 30th. In either case, you should not have used your GuardMe at SFU plan to opt out and be eligible for a refund. So keep these deadlines in mind. And this is also another reason to apply for BCMSP as soon as you arrive, just to get some of that refunds back. So that was a lot of information about primary medical insurance. But if I could really whittle it down to 3 major points, it would be that your GuardMe plan is temporary. Sometimes it's a misconception students have that they will have GuardMe coverage for their entire time in, at SFU, but that's not the case. It is only for your first term. BCMSP is a legal requirement. Please make sure you apply for it as soon as you arrive in BC so that once your GuardMe plan expires after your first term, you will have continuous primary medical insurance coverage. And also make sure that you maintain your MSP account, avoid any lapses in coverage, which means that if you end up renewing your study permit or you end up getting a post-graduation work permit in the future, remember to extend your MSP coverage as well. And also make sure that you stay on top of the monthly payments. Okay, so with that, I'll now hand it over to Ali to cover the secondary medical insurance plan.
Thank you so much, Shani. Hello, everyone. We're now moving on to secondary medical insurance. This service is provided to you by your Graduate Student Society. It is fully managed by them, and Student Care is the plan administrator for the GSS Health and Dental Plan. So everything Ishani mentioned for you pertains to primary medical insurance, and you're required to maintain primary medical insurance in order to adequately access secondary health insurance through your GSS Health and Dental Plan. And so the GSS Health and Dental Plan is really there to fill in the gaps that exist in primary health insurance. As you might already know, primary health insurance does not cover you for all medical and dental services, and there are some gaps that exist, and that's why you have both. So please note that your GSS Health and Dental Plan is not a replacement of your GuardMe or your MSP. It's there to work to add on to your GuardMe or MSP plan. If you have another private plan, whether you are employed in Canada or your spouse has a plan or your parent has a plan, you're able to use both your plans, your SFU GSS and your other plan, or you can opt out of the GSS plan, and we'll talk about that in the next few slides. But just as a reminder, and Ishani has mentioned this already, you folks are required to enroll into BCMSP as soon as you arrive in Canada. This slide over here gives you a summary of your GSS Health and Dental Plan coverage. Please note that this is not an exhaustive list of your coverage. Please go to our website and you'll be able to see a full breakdown of all of these benefits and to what extent they're covered. Generally speaking, you have a health plan that covers you for things such as prescription drugs, vaccinations, mental health practitioners such as psychologists and counselors, and then other supplementary health practitioners, things like physiotherapy, chiropractor, massage therapy, and so forth. You also have a dental plan that covers you for checkups, cleanings, root canals, gum treatments, endodontic, periodontic services, and so forth. A vision plan for eyeglasses, contact lenses, eye exams, and then you also have a travel plan that covers you when you're traveling out of country, so out of Canada, for any medical emergencies, illnesses, and injuries that you experience when you are traveling abroad. So please note that you don't need to purchase additional travel insurance if you are at all traveling out of the country. One thing I will note about travel insurance, because all of you here are international students, the travel insurance does not apply to you in your home country, because that's your home country, but it covers you in any other country that you are visiting outside of Canada. New this year for the GSS is the Gender Affirmation Care Service as well. So starting September 2024, the GSS has introduced a Gender Affirmation Care program as part of the health and dental benefits. So if you are a student who is seeking for gender affirming care services and medical procedures, this is something that your plan now covers. It is available to both domestic and international students as long as you are covered by MSP or GuardMe or any other provincial or basic health insurance program. You are eligible for this, and it covers services that are not covered by MSP. There are certain gender affirming care procedures that are covered by BCMSP. However, there are certain procedures that are not covered by BCMSP, and that's where this service kicks in. So if you are someone who has a gender dysphoria diagnosis that has been provided to you by your medical doctor, you will be able to access gender affirmation care services. There is a limit of up to $10,000 for your lifetime, and up to $5,000 per procedure that you experience, and you'll be able to find more details on this on the Student Care website. The cost for your health and dental plan on an annual basis is $500, and so you will be assessed this fee automatically in September. You have already probably seen this in your tuition fee statement, and the breakdown is $210 for health and $290 for dental. And so this amount has been automatically assessed to you. If you want to enroll your family members into the plan, you can do so. For one dependent, you will pay an additional $500. And for unlimited dependents, so your spouse and as many children as you might have, you can enroll them for $1,000. And this is done manually; it's not done automatically. So you will do that through the Student Care website as well. So the coverage period starts on September 1st and will go on until August 31st of 2025. So you're covered for a 12-month duration. And in the next slide, we will talk about the change of coverage period. So if you would like to opt out of the health and dental plan, or you would like to enroll your family members into the health and dental plan, please make sure you're doing so during the change of coverage period that runs from August 27th to September 17th. The process for opting out is simple. You can do that through the Student Care website. You will submit a proof of alternative coverage, so you can take a screenshot or scan a picture of your policy that you are covered by. So whether that is your parents' plan, your employer's plan, or your spouse's plan, submit that to us. And once we once we receive that proof of alternative coverage, we will refund your health and dental plan fees, that $500 amount, and it will be credited to your tuition statement, and you can use that towards your tuition fees for the following semester. If you want to enroll your family members into the plan, please make sure that you are doing that during the change of coverage period as well, and you can do that online by submitting details of your dependents and paying the fees online as well. Next slide, we'll talk about a few ways in which you can access your benefits and how you can claim the benefits that are covered by your plan. The first one is sort of the most straightforward and simplest way of claiming your benefits, and that is your Pay Direct card. So your Pay Direct card, you can pick up a copy of this at the ISS office, at the student care office, or at various locations around campus, or you can get a digital copy from our website as well if you prefer that option. You will write out your student ID in a Pay Direct card, and once you go to a practitioner's office, whether it's a pharmacy, a dental clinic, a physiotherapy, a eye doctor, just show them this Pay Direct card, and they will bill the insurance company directly for the insured portion of the plan. You would only be responsible for paying the out-of-pocket or the copay section of the plan. It's a convenient option because you don't have to worry about submitting the claim manually and waiting for a refund. The practitioner will bill the insurance company directly, and you don't have to worry about any of that as you walk out of the office. The other option that is available to you is the mobile app. You will download the PBC mobile app, register your profile, and once your profile has been set up, you can submit your health claims online by simply taking a picture of your receipt, uploading it into the claims portal, and you would then sign up for direct deposit, and PBC would provide you with a reimbursement directly to your bank account. And then the last way is the sort of the pen and paper way of submitting claims. So you will download and print a health or dental claim form from the website, fill it out, and then mail it to Pacific Blue Cross, who is your insurer, and they will then send you a check for your refund amount. One thing to keep in mind, if you are all of you here are new students, so you will likely be affected by this, is that in the first 2 months of your semester, you will experience a blackout period. A blackout period is essentially the time that it takes for SFU to send over your information and for us to send your information over to the insurance company and for them to activate your profile. So the first 2 months, you might not be able to submit your claims. You might not be able to use your Pay Direct card, or you might not be able to create your Pacific Blue Cross member profile. You might not be able to register your account there. That doesn't mean you're not covered. You are covered during this 2-month period. However, Pacific Blue Cross is just not able to verify that you are covered. So as long as you have paid the $500 in your tuition fee statement, you can rest assured that you are covered by the plan. You can continue to access your benefits. Just make sure that you are saving the receipts when you access those benefits. And once the blackout period is over, you can submit your claims online via the Pacific Blue Cross mobile app, or you can do it by forms. We also have a campus office that you can drop in, and we will assist you with submitting your claims. In the next slide, we will talk about BC Fair Pharmacare. BC Fair Pharmacare is a requirement that everyone is supposed to enroll in. For those of you who are new, you will be enrolling into BCMSP. You can simultaneously enroll into BC Fair Pharmacare as well, because it is managed by the same health authority. If you don't have BCMSP yet, and most of you likely don't have it yet because you are enrolled in GuardMe, please let us know so we can make sure that your prescription drug claims are continued to be reimbursed without any restrictions. We will just kind of make a note to Pacific Blue Cross and let them know that they're not able to register for BC Fair Pharmacare yet because they don't have BCMSP activated. And Pacific Blue Cross will continue to pay your claims. Please note, we will be sending an email to all students about BC Fair Pharmacare. So eventually, at some point, you will have to enroll into BC Fair Pharmacare, especially in your second year. One of the requirements of enrolling into Pharmacare is you need to submit a tax return to prove your eligibility, because it is an income-based program. Now, all of you here are new international students and don't have tax returns here in Canada, and so you won't be able to enroll into Fair Pharmacare immediately. but next year you will be required to enroll into BC Fair Pharmacare, and then your prescription drug claims will be triaged through Pharmacare and then your GSS plan. In the next slide, we'll talk about the networks that exist to help offset some of the costs that you might experience out of pocket when you are when you're claiming your benefits through the health practitioner. So Student Care manages a wide range of networks that exist to provide you with savings and discounts when you access your health benefits through these network practitioners. We have, in the next slide, you'll see we have a list of various practitioners that can provide you with those savings and discounts, and I've provided that demonstration over here just for the dental network. You can see your insurance plan covers you at 70% of all services, and the network is there to provide you with additional savings and discounts. So for preventative services, if you access your dental benefits through a Student Care network dentist, you get 30% savings on preventative services. That's on top of the 70% that you get covered through your plan. And at the end of the day, you are covered at 100% and you don't pay anything out of pocket. The same formula applies down the line. So for extraction, you are covered at 70%. The network will give you a 20% discount for that, and you'll be covered at 90%, and you only pay 10% out of pocket. And so even if that service is not covered by the insurance plan, you still get that 20% discount, and it helps offset some of your out-of-pocket costs. In the next slide, I'll highlight one of the other popular networks that exist to help offset some of your out-of-pocket costs when you're accessing prescription drugs, and that is with Rexall Pharmacy. You can access prescription drugs through Rexall Pharmacy, and they will give you 20% off on your out-of-pocket costs up to a maximum of $40 per prescription. And then Rexall Direct, if you sign up with that as well, they're able to deliver prescription medications right to your door. So please look into Rexall Pharmacy if you anticipate having to claim a lot of prescription drugs. In the next slide, we'll highlight some of the other remaining networks, and you'll find more details of this on the website. We have a network for psychology, which gives you preferred rates on counseling services. Vision, which gives you some discounts and savings on eyeglasses and eye exams. Chiropractor and physiotherapy, which gives you some discounted rates for initial assessments and subsequent visits. One thing I will note about all of these networks that it is not compulsory at all for anyone to go to practitioners who are part of the network. We do have quite a wide range of network that is around campus and around transit hubs, and so it's very convenient for you to go to these network practitioners and access your plan through them. However, it is not compulsory. You can go to any practitioner located in Canada, and you will be covered for the insured portion of the plan. These savings do apply only to the network practitioners. So I encourage you to look into that so that you can save some out-of-pocket costs there. And that really brings us to the end of the presentation. I mentioned earlier we have an office that is located in the Student Union building in room 2301. So you can drop by there if you need assistance with submitting claims, enrolling your dependents, opting out, or any particular questions you have about your GSS health and dental plan. We're always there to help you. I have inserted a QR code that will take you right to the homepage of the GSS health and dental plan. So please scan that and bookmark that page, because you will likely need to refer to that at some point throughout your studies. And so take some time to review that ahead, so you know where exactly to access your benefits, how much you're covered for, and how the whole thing works, and prepare yourself for that for that instance. And with that, I will pass it back to Ishani or Zorin.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. That's awesome. That's our representative from Student Care with lots of information that you can reference. So at the start of the session, we gave an overview of the topics that our unit, International Services for Students, ISS, can directly assist you with. Please reference those slides. I think there's 7, 8, and 9 of this presentation. And now, Ishani, can you share what other key units and resources across our campus that new students should be aware of?
Yes, for sure. So once you start at SFU, you'll find that SFU is very compartmentalized with a lot of units providing specialized services. So as Zorin mentioned, you would come to our office for immigration and medical insurance related inquiries. And likewise, there are lots of other units, and I'll list out some key resources for new international students should be aware of. So for graduate students, the Graduate Studies Office and your academic department will be key points of service during your time at SFU. So the Graduate Studies Office is the Administrative Student Services Unit for graduate students, so they can assist you with questions regarding your academic progress, academic policies, and information about funding and awards that are available just for graduate students. And then quite a bit of you had questions about course planning, how to go about course enrollment. So if you need assistance with anything related to your academic program or course registration, you will have to contact your relevant academic department. And if you're thinking about deferring or postponing your start term, you will also have to get permission from your academic department directly. And housing was another common question that we received. So our office is not involved with coordinating housing for international students. So if you do plan on living on campus, or you have questions about your residence application, your waitlist number, or any move-in instructions, you will have to contact SFU Residence and Housing. And then if you do plan to live off campus, the SFU Residence website lists some resources, including an organization named Places for Students, which is our official off-campus housing partner. And they list different rental properties that you can find around the different SFU campuses if you are thinking about living off campus. So the Center for Accessible Learning, or the CAL, will make every effort to assist students with disabilities so that they can achieve their optimal educational goals. So their disability access advisors can help students establish accommodations such as classroom or exam modifications. So if you are a student with a suspected or a documented disability, please get in touch with the CAL as early as possible so that they have time to work with you to come up with the accommodations in place by the time your term begins. And if you do have any questions about scholarships, bursaries, and other financial supports for international students, you can get in touch with Financial Aid and Awards, as they also administer financial aid along with graduate studies when it comes to funding for graduate students. And career and volunteer services offer a variety of services for students relating to work search and career development. So everything from career exploration relating to your programs to writing your resume and updating your LinkedIn presence. So you can also get in touch with them to learn about part-time job opportunities, which was another common question that we had received. So they are a great resource for that. And there's health and counseling services that operate 2 medical clinics out of the Burnaby and Vancouver campuses. If you would like to see any health practitioners during your studies at SFU, this is a great service, as finding a family doctor in BC can be a bit difficult. So please know that you do have this service available to you as SFU students. You'll also have access to a transition case manager if you ever run into any difficulties. And they also offer counseling services, including the free MySSP app, which is available for use 24/7 in multiple languages, regardless where you're in the world.
Thanks, Ishani. So we know that the transition that you will be going through, new life experiences, juggling all the things that you might be doing, coming to SFU can be totally exciting and also totally challenging. And so we want you to know not to worry. We here at International Services for Students are ready to support you. And Ishani, if you don't mind, could you share what kind of transition supports we have to offer?
Yes, for sure. So we definitely recognize that, while studying overseas is a very exciting step, it can sometimes be a bit daunting or challenging to leave your comfort zone, to leave your friends and family behind and start new in a new country. So it's very important to build a supportive community around you. And we do have a dedicated space just for international students called the Global Student Center, or the GSC. And we host many social events to bring students together to make those connections. So if you signed up for the Welcome Social as part of the International Student Orientation Series, this is where it will be taking place as well. And we routinely host big socials centering around global cuisines. And these events tend to be very popular. As you can see from the pictures, we are out of seating space. We are planning to host some of these events in the fall term as well, so watch out for those details. But if you like a quieter atmosphere, we also have the lounge open weekly for your use. If you would like to hang out in smaller groups, microwave your lunch, do your classwork, this space is available for you. So we do invite you to use this space and meet other students who frequent the space as well. And in addition to the social events, we also have some support services for international students at the GSC. So we offer what's called the International Student Experience Support, where you can make an appointment with me or Hannah, who's also an International Student Experience Coordinator, and we can help assist, we can help you with any transition-related questions you might have, or refer you to the correct people. And you can also get academic writing support at the GSC to make sure that you're hitting all your writing targets in assignments and your papers and your research. So these are some of our friendly graduate writing facilitators who will work with you one-on-one. You don't need to make an appointment. You can just drop by and get that consultation. And we also have a career education specialist to talk about everything related to career, to polish up your resume to meet Canadian standards, and learn about job search. And we are also launching English language circles in the fall, where you'll be able to be paired up with volunteers from the program to have casual conversation, to practice your spoken language skills and make friends along the way. And I'd also like to highlight our social insurance number clinics, or the SIN clinics, that we will be hosting on September 6th and 9th. So you will need a social insurance number to work in Canada, to be able to file your taxes, to enroll in pharmacare that Ali was talking about. So typically you would have to apply for your social insurance number online and wait for it to arrive in mail. But if you do attend our SIN clinics, if you have the proper documentation, you'll be able to get your social insurance number on the spot. So do mark the date, September 6th and 9th, and we'll be sending more information closer to the dates about this event, so you can register. So there's a lot going on at the GSC. You can check out our website to know when the GSC is open and what kind of support services are available each day. And outside of the events we host at the GSC, we also offer various workshops on topics like medical insurance, taxes, and banking in Canada to ease your transition into your new life in Canada. So if you follow us on Instagram, our handle's at SFU Global, you'll be in the know about what's coming up. Doreen.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the presentation component of this session. Thank you to all the panel members for the valuable information shared. For those of you who might be watching the recorded version, thank you for watching, and please do get in touch with us if you have any further questions. I think now we're going to